Bitcoin just slammed into a nasty resistance at $50,000. We have Joe Biden absolutely gaslighting the American public with Dark Brandon once again, and some of our favorite altcoins get some big upgrades, potentially setting up for a nasty pump into the beginning of this year. All this and more on today's Blockchain Basement. We are the bread and butter of all the information that's been swimming across the internet for crypto news.
If you're gonna screw me, at least pull my hair.
Hell yeah. What do you got?
They could start chopping off fingers. They're like, give me your seed phrase, but I don't know it.
Over 2 years, he's made like 17K on Roblox. And he's
What?
Like 12.
You never listen to me, and we must be married. Yeah, well, how much are you investing? $100.
400,000 to 600,000. The
think it's so
generational signals are now. Now.
You're spread so thin, that's how you get in on Snake. Snake's been my biggest winner.
What is up? Welcome one, welcome all. We have a couple, well, one kind of familiar face, but a new guest. Please introduce yourself to the crowd. This is the basement crowd. We are all friends here.
What is up, guys? I'm Samuel Arms. I run the Florida Blockchain Business Association, do policy stuff, research, lobbying, campaign finance. And
Pretty deep into politics. You got a lot of alpha on different politicians that are actively in the headlines. I complain about these people a lot. I've heard some pretty interesting things from you so far today.
Wonderful people, all great people.
Very great, very great. Hannah, you can barely see her there because she is not wearing a t-shirt, it appears. But Hannah, how are you doing? Welcome. It's Monday. Bitcoin's pumping. How you feeling?
No shoes, no shirt, but I still get service. Wow.
Yeah. Thank God you have shoes on. You know, I think someone asked me if shoes were allowed. Jeremy, was that you?
No,
I always wear shoes. It was our so basically I was complaining that there weren't enough diverse political views on Blockchain Basement, so they brought in a white collar deep state operative. So everyone everyone say hi to
Well,
Sam.
he needs to supplement me because I'm a Fed.
And I don't have to actually wear shoes because you can't see my feet. I was the shoes guy because I hate wearing shoes.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. We got quite a diverse cast here, having some pretty interesting conversations about the world macro environment. Obviously, we're talking about Bitcoin. Some interesting things that I've been looking at on the monthly chart for Bitcoin that we're going to be taking a look at in today's show. I am considering maybe saving some of the nastier, harder hitting macroeconomic and psyop type stories for a Rumble specific stream. Potentially, I might be doing that today. Might be doing it tomorrow. We're thinking on it still. But Bitcoin, the larger markets have had a lot of fun. Let's take a look at Trump coin though. First and foremost, absolutely thick, setting up for, just very thick, very thick, setting up some support, trying to fight for some support at $2.60. This is the first meme coin to breach $1, and it has actually breached $3 previously. I am watching this one in close contention with Bart, Reptilian Zucker Biden. Not looking so great this morning. I am paying attention to these. You know, you could say it's a joke or that, it's not connected to how the election's going to go. But honestly, I've felt for a long time that meme coins, to a degree, are a political protest, especially for people that are monetarily minded. And Bart, definitely missing out. This is Reptilian Zucker Biden, but the rest of the crypto markets, let's take a look if anything huge has changed. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Link and its nasty, nasty moves, a little bit of the portfolio moves I've seen. The top movers of today, Stacks is right up there, 9% move for Stacks. Ordi, some BRC20 love coming with 12%. Beam, still up 66% on the week and grabbing 13% upswing on the day. So very nice there. OP showing no chill, up 9% nearly and nearing $4 once again. This coin is a very, very sneaky pick for anyone that's getting new into crypto and wants a very aggressive underlayer for Ethereum that can be a top performer. I am looking at OP for that regard. So
Optimism or Arbitrum?
Optimism. Let's check on Arbitrum. That's a good question. Arbitrum's been trying to break the $2 mark, and here we are. My God.
206.
206, absolutely. Now, okay, so the markets have been moving great. All right, here is an oldie but goodie. I'm going to talk about just kind of where we are right now, and then also look at a few things I saw in the past Bitcoin price action that actually show a little bit of concern for me. But here's what I was out on a limb talking about. Bitcoin is going to pump as banks collapse. that did indeed happen. Then we had the occurrence in September of 2023 with Evergrande crisis hitting mainstream media and CNN outlets. Absolutely pumped from that moment. Now, the extra stretch I had was that this situation was going to continue once I saw Evergrande and the BTFP Bank Term Funding Program released that it was coming to an end and Evergrande was fully insolvent. Now, after that call, we have very much so achieved a great move in Bitcoin. If you back up, though, look at that monthly chart on Bitcoin compared to its price history. Absolutely chaotic. And one thing I am watching out for is that this pump up to about $20,000, 2017, was followed by a sharp downturn. As everyone remembers, the bear market, what was that? I believe it was about a 70%, maybe even more. Let's see. So all the way to the bottom, 80%, right? So that's the overall bear market correction. But then you got a little bit closer to the halving time frame here in, I believe it's end of 2019. I'm just going to measure, and I'm going to discount this COVID wick. We're not going to kind of build in black swan events into what happened historically, but once it hit this kind of mid-range accumulation zone high, with discounting the COVID wick, it went down by 53%. Okay. And this was the halving for Bitcoin was May of 2020. And then June hit that just kind of intermediary high there at $13,800. Then obviously after that crashed heavily. There's a lot of macroeconomic implications that caused this wick to go down very far beyond that. But reasonably, I'm looking at what the price action did, excluding that wick. That is a 50% correction. And if you look at this kind of, I mean, it's a good pump and then a trough and a very, very fast upswing, kind of looking a little similar to this. I mean, obviously this is a double top. I understand that. That's the difference here. But, a 50% correction from here, we're talking post halving, a little bit of, we got the ETH ETFs that, I think will actually be approved in March coming up. But if we do, cook up to this, just holding about 50 and then crash back down 50%, this is a little hopium for the bears here. That would bring us back down to $25,000, which is right at this heavy line of support that we were able to build up between the time frame here. It looks like it was June of 23. We also tested that in September of 23. And this moment right here, September of 23, and seeing Evergrande crisis hitting the mainstream is what made me decide to liquidate all Bitcoin and Ethereum straight into Chainlink at $5.90 a piece. So obviously it's gone well since then. I felt like the continuation would come from this, but I am trying to keep a bucket of cold water in the background here, keeping in mind that we may very well experience a pretty sharp post-halving correction. Something to keep in mind, something to have in the back of our heads as we're looking for different altcoin projects, or maybe even just a better chance to get in on Bitcoin. Historically, the volatility is the price we pay for performance here in crypto. And we've seen some pretty nasty dips in the roughly same time frame that we're looking at right now. Something else that's it's in the back of my mind. This velocity of upswing that we've had in Bitcoin on this last few months. If you take a look at this is the fastest and hardest hitting velocity on the upswing side that we've had within the accumulation market time frame. So expecting a little bit of a breather, not too crazy to think. I mean, obviously I got some pretty bullish things. We have some crypto Quant CEO talking about Bitcoin rallying above $100,000 on the back of ETF inflows. Let's check out his time frame here. Ki Young Ju tells 330,000. Don't make me laugh at him. You giggled. I wanted to giggle.
I just laugh. When Drew reads things, it just makes me giggle.
Kim Young 332,000 followers. He is in his bullish scenario, seeing Bitcoin surge above $100,000 by the end of 2024. We'll just read on a little bit, see his reasoning, looking closer on chain metric. Zhu says Bitcoin realized cap currently sits at $450 billion, but he says ETF inflows could push BTC's realized cap to more than $500 billion within the end of the year. God, that was violent. You just cracked your neck very well. You're making me want to do that.
Sorry.
Hold on. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was
Ew.
good.
That was a good one. I've had a little bit of a neck pain.
This makes sense to me, by the way. The ETFs like increasing the sale flow volume.
See, and that's what I kind of want to ask you guys. Like, what do you think? I mean, you first. Do you think that we can hit $100,000 before the end of 2024, as it sits right now with the ETFs?
Yeah, probably.
You think so?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at price speculation.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some good movements. Jeremy, is this too much to expect?
You have the halving coming up, right? And in addition to the ETF financing, so like I believe that we're due for like an up by the end of 2024. I was gonna say if your prediction was right about the like downswing down to 25, like if it hit 25, I can make a pledge on this show that I'll go all in and put everything into BTC because I think that it's going up toward the end of the year.
If it hit 25, I'd be taking out a home equity line.
Yeah. Like 25 is like definitely in. So like I see an upward trajectory. I kind of agree with Sam a little bit that like the prediction of exactly where we end up after the upward trajectory is like not necessarily in my like realm of expertise. Yeah. But like all of these factors contributing towards an upward like momentum makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Hannah, is this Hopium, or are we going to kind of get stuck in this 60K previous all-time high action? What do you think? It's a tough call to make. I'm putting you on the spot, but we're going right in.
I'm going to say 100K 2025. But we'll get close.
100K won't be seen. Okay. Getting close.
We'll get close in 2024, but...
There's going to be immense selling pressure if we hit that 60K, 65K realm. You were bringing it up. I mean, by that time, everyone in Bitcoin would be profitable. Right. Yeah.
As of this morning, Decrypt had an article that said 91% of Bitcoin holders are profitable.
Yeah. That's a whole lot of people in profits. You could expect some profit taking. I did indeed take some more profits, shaved a little off the top of my Avalanche bag. It's been a very good performer, and I have no problem making my immediate life better through crypto. I cannot eat crypto, and crypto does not keep my food cold. I got a very high-end fridge that I'm very proud of. It doesn't talk to me because I hate those things, but very nice. Shout out to everyone in the chat. You got Papa Gooth, new name, XRP Rails, Michael Moore, Big Hands Dan, Crypto Stevo, Dion Gang. Wow. EDU Vids, C90 FTW. Good to see it. Good to see it.
Somebody said in the chat, they said top 3 coins for me and Sam. So I'll go really quick. It said rapid fire. Yeah. Number 1 for me is SNEC.
Okay.
And then I have number 2, I have Dinger token.
Dinger?
I'm also pretty bullish on the memes right now. I think the meme coins with the Bitcoin going up is like a good way to like invest a small amount of money for a high upside. And then for number 3, I just said I was maybe bullish on Bitcoin, so I don't see why I wouldn't say BTC for number 3.
Yeah.
And it rhymes, so
that's true.
We might as well just live our life that way.
That's. I mean, we played it extremely risky being Snake number 1.
Yeah.
Very risky.
Wait, what was your 3? Sorry.
Dinger, Snake, and Bitcoin.
Okay.
What do you think, Sam? What are your top 3 coins? What are you looking at?
I'm pretty much only buy Bitcoin. I'm kind of lame and boring because I know I'm never going to be able to time the highs and lows right.
Fair.
Because that's just not my specialty. But Bitcoin, I know I can just sit and wait. But I think like ADA and Matic are cool.
ADA and Matic?
Yeah.
Okay.
But those are all like the boring, like stay there things as opposed to whatever's new and being pumped out. And
it's not like I can understand why you consider it boring. I was essentially a Bitcoin Max Milish all the way up until September 9th of 2023. I basically housed all of my crypto and all my value in Bitcoin to protect it from that downside of the bear market. And then, I chaotically I changed everything into Chainlink. First and foremost, I'm big on ICP. I'm big on Avalanche as well. But I am going to give ADA some more love. I think I've already pulled the XRP out of the cold storage, and I am going to be dumping the remainder of my XRP. It is the most depressing price action that I have come across in crypto. Like in the whole narrative.
You're selling it now, you said?
Oh yeah. I mean, I bought it at 17 cents.
Okay, so you're happy.
I'm happy. And it's been very, very boring. I don't even think it moved with all of this wonderful price action we just showed. It's up by 1%. This is depression graphed out if you were to put it on a monetary scale. This is sad. This is very, very sad. Up 39% on the year. I mean, this is. I'm not thrilled by this. This does not excite me. The diminishing returns, the dumping of the tokens, from the Ripple Foundation every single month. They basically just happen right as the rest of the markets pump, and it just doesn't go anywhere. Huge Drew is pulling the plug. I wonder what I'm pulling the plug on.
You said you're pulling it on XRP.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on, look at this. This is sadness. That is sadness encompassed. Maybe XRP, in my view, is just a failed stablecoin. It was created before stablecoins were around. XRP makes me sad. I was a huge, I was deep into like why Rosie Rios was on the board and this whole ISO 2022, standards. Why is Ripple on the board, right? And all these different overlapping things. It feels like a giant psyop to keep people thinking that they've got it all figured out. And then basically, banks aren't going to give internal controls over to a private company. It's already, you already have the private Federal Reserve. I don't understand why a private company like Ripple would be given the keys to the castle.
And their marketing is always that they're targeting the SWIFT system.
Right.
People don't understand that the SWIFT system is inefficient for a reason.
Right.
And so that's a regulatory, financial analysis.
It gives them a chance to do some trades in between.
Yeah, it's just, I was never an XRP guy, but I did support their lawsuit. I was like, hey, we should all be back in XRP to fight the SEC, even though I just would never buy it myself.
That's exactly my saying, but I sadly held it, right? It was one of my first tokens that I got. So just watching over the years, I've been in the crowd, I've been a supporter, and the price action is no longer giving hope or sparking joy, especially with the dumps, the token dumps every month. It basically is just an impossible situation. So we're talking about that guy looking at 100K Bitcoin before the end of 2024. I actually do think that is accomplishable, but it's going to have to make it past a big amount of profit taking after 60K is accomplished. A lot of people are going to be in profits, a lot of retail, they're going to be moving out. And then, in my opinion, it's going to flow downhill to altcoins, probably the best layer ones first, and then a couple other projects that are on the meantime. But yeah, ISO 20022 hype is over. I agree with you, Papa Guth. I think that what you just talked about, the Swift thing, CCIP from Chainlink and real world assets, I feel, are going to take over the narrative from the ISO conversation. I think that communication tokens between banks, it's going to be less of a talking point. We're going to be seeing more real world assets and projects that move to represent real world assets being kind of the hotter ticket. Am I crazy for thinking that? I mean, are we going to, in my mind, at the rate it's moving with CCIP, we could see tokenized real estate in at least test locations. They're in a process with the Australian and New Zealand central banks and SWIFT. Chainlink is right now to represent those assets. I think that's actually coming to at least test realm. Is that crazy hyperbole to think that it's coming, or are we going to be having to wait multiple cycles to see tangible assets backed on chain? Is that crazy talk?
Well, I guess that's two different things. One, I don't think it's crazy to think something like Chainlink could be partnering with those people. The thing I guess I just don't know is whether they're actually going to use Chainlink or just say, hey, thanks for the information. We're going to build it ourselves.
The technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then aren't we already seeing real world assets put on?
Yes, absolutely.
On chain?
Absolutely.
But did you mean Chainlink specifically, or what do you mean?
No, Chainlink's just part of the conversation. Like AVAX, even Cardano's getting primed up to represent real world assets. But then we have MakerDAO, who's got treasury backed stable coins. There's a few others. Maple Finance.
I'm still so down on Maple.
I know, and Maple is a huge disappointment. It was Ondo Finance.
Is it gonna go back up, Drew?
I mean, I think Maple's gonna do just fine. I think we're just a little bit too early on it. It's I was talking about Maple when it was $3. Decided to get a little bag when it was like $18, $19. It's fallen down to $12 right now. So honestly, if you're thinking real world assets, I am thinking real world assets are coming. There it is. Fade and TradFi talk about Ondo Finance. Ondo Finance really took the cake really early on when it comes to this. Maple's going to be a little bit behind the buck. Pendle, DeFi Vault, liquidity, that's a huge deal. We've been talking about Pendle forever. But yeah, real world assets, man, I think that that's going to be where the biggest squeeze is. And you have an interesting thought. Maybe Swift just wants the technology of Chainlink and the CCIP on how they do it in this test program to set up their own internal system.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind of like how FedNow uses the technology of Ripple, right? Yeah. Because everyone thought like XRP and Ripple, they're all, interconnected to FedNow. And it just turned out that, basically Volante is using how Ripple does their process to help lay out FedNow. So we got to keep these things in mind. This is from Satoshi Flipper. He is talking about something that I pretty much agree with this take. At first, I thought 55K was feasible, but boy, a move over 50K for me means Bitcoin is looking for a new all-time high. There's no way that all that happens before the halving. In fact, Bitcoin getting rejected at 50K so it can range for a bit while alts absolutely moon would be a healthier move for everybody. For example, $48,000 to $50,000 for the next 2 weeks, or a few weeks rather, just my sense. I hard-sidedly agree with this. I think that where we're at right now, this Bitcoin price action, we got slapped down the moment that we crossed 50K, and I do think that that is going to continue. We're sitting right at 49,859 right now, but there's a huge psychological level at 50K, and don't be surprised if we get slapped in the mouth a little bit here and have to range, maybe chop back down. A range that Satoshi was looking at is all the way down to 40 in the near term, create some support and a little bit of upward trajectory after that happens. So I don't think we're just like straight up and to the moon as it sits right now. I know that today, watching all the prices, yes, Chainlink did hit $20 like I said it was going to do a few weeks ago. Today felt good. Feels like I'm on the right path as far as following the pulse of the markets. I think we're on the money there still. But we have some, like the ETF I doubted was coming. Now it's here, and I'm having to kind of readjust my expectations of the market. At large, I was thinking that we're going to follow the diminished returns process. That might be out of the window with the ETFs, but at least for this cycle. The X's were, basically it was like 17X, and then it went down to like a 3.5X. And so we tried to downgrade our expectations before the ETFs got approved to expect like a 2X from Bitcoin from its previous all-time high, putting it at like $120,000, $140,000. I'm having to think about readjusting that.
Well, do you think the last all-time high was natural, or do you think it was cut short? Because if that plays into
I do think it was cut short. And I also think that the true all-time high was when the inflation was not parabolic, right? Remember, because it was like 61 when inflation wasn't really gutting the markets and housing was not nearly the cost that it was. That secondary peak at 69K, everything had skyrocketed in price. So your buying power went down drastically on that secondary pump. So adjusted inflation adjusted, I think that first peak was the actual all-time high. But that's just me thinking. I'm having to like kind of work with this new information and adjust my expectations of the market accordingly, because when this is all rolling out, we're heading into the next bull market. I was thinking a $4 trillion market cap was the target for me at large. We accomplished just under $3 trillion last bull market, right? So I was trying to tailor back those expectations. I have adjusted those. I think that at large, we're going to be hitting a $7 trillion market cap. But that's just because the ETF availability. This could be finally that moment where we see, Bitcoin in the multiple $1 trillion market cap. It hit just over $1 trillion. It was like $1.2 trillion at the peak of the last bull market. But with ETF inflows, man, it's like kind of all bets are off. It's really just about being positioned and following the time frames more so for me. And I'm still targeting mid 2025 to end 2025. Mid 2025 would be a little bit earlier than people are thinking though. So there's a couple of reasons why I'm thinking these things. The ETF inflows are accelerating. We had this from Zero Hedge highlighting, you had the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust on the outflows side. Very, very heavy, very horrible time to be a trader. Once the initial release of the ETFs happened, you had Grayscale just dumping insane amounts of Bitcoin every morning. And then the inflows were fighting back pretty well as you can see, the outflows have lessened greatly, but the inflows are on the influx. And Josh pointed out a good reminder that the advertisements and the ability for Google to let these companies advertise the Bitcoin ETFs was actually on February 4th, right in this time frame, and kind of looks like it's working. Kind of looks like the inflows are picking up very well. I know we had mentioned, I need to find the exact data on it. Maybe C90FTW can help me with this, but about a week and a half ago, these ETFs held about 3.3% of the overall Bitcoin supply. And I'm thinking that they're probably up in the 5% range by now. C90FTW, correct me if I'm wrong on that note, but I feel like the FOMO is getting ready to kick in. Like the finite resource of Bitcoin is being realized. These ETFs are all in this hot and heavy race. Hannah's getting swag from Van Eck. You know, Van Eck, one of the biggest companies out there, is actually really open to crypto. They're talking to Hannah.
The intern.
The intern.
The intern
swag.
got a bonus.
Got a bonus?
Van Eck intern.
Well, they deserve one because they run one of the best crypto Twitters out there. But
they deserve one. They gave Hannah a Yeti cup.
Yeah,
Literally.
and a hat. They've been sending her stuff.
Wow.
You know.
Wrong
I wear a size medium.
Okay. Did you guys watch the Super Bowl?
Yes.
What do you
did?
mean?
What do you mean? Did you see the Super Bowl with your own two eyes?
I think I know what you're saying, and the answer to that question would be no in most cases.
Okay.
I kind of had to when I first flew in here. I went to a Super Bowl party with Josh.
Fair enough. I understand.
But we left during after the halftime show.
You left after the halftime?
Yeah.
I did not. I did not watch the football game. I don't watch football. I'm just going to say it. And I know there's a lot of football fans. I'm not going to pander to whatever team. I think it's a giant psyop and distraction. Mm-hmm. We did see some Bitcoin related things happen. I just wanted to take a note of Jack Dorsey wearing a Bitcoin Satoshi shirt, but JayZ looks like absolutely insane. JayZ looks insane these days. I want to let's see if we can find a photo of him as of recently.
Let's say, what do you mean? He looks fine in that picture.
He
He's
looks
wearing
like a
sunglasses.
wizard.
He has lost it, bro. Look at this hairdo. What the hell is going on here?
Oh my gosh. Give me $1 billion and see what my hair looks like.
You're going to look like that with $1 billion?
I have no idea.
He said, I
I've
might.
never met that person. It might be a different color or
He's just trying
50%
something
higher.
different, bro.
But he's rocking some cool colors.
Hey, yo.
What?
His daughter, they posted a picture on the field afterwards. Blue Ivy was wearing a pair of pants from my friend's clothing brand.
Really?
Alice and Olivia.
Okay.
Hey.
Wow, small world. So yeah, Jack Dorsey, obviously a supporter. He's showing a little love. I don't really like Jack Dorsey at all.
I don't like him at all.
Yeah, I mean, I hate how he tried to backtrack, censoring conservatives on Twitter. It was absolutely insane trying to be on Twitter during the 2020 or 2016 election, for that matter. Jack Dorsey is not a pro free speech person. He only acts like it because it's cool nowadays. And I think he's a putz. So
People who buy into him are really stupid.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
it's very sad, but it says a lot about Bitcoiners who really praise him.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have no idea what you believe.
Fair weather
You have
fans.
no idea what you're into.
Right. I 100% agree
At
with
least
that.
be consistent.
What is he doing nowadays? Didn't he go to work?
He's like naked around a campfire slapping his nuts.
What's
like
he building? Isn't it Strike or what's the app that he's building?
Square? Is it Square?
Square. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
He
Hey,
left
give me
Twitter.
$1 billion. I'll be naked around a campfire slapping my nuts with
Hey,
long
fair enough.
dreadlocks. I mean,
Speaking
I
of
don't
slapping
I
your
don't know
nuts,
if I'm going to do that.
if you are
You're doing
into
only
that,
that.
I know it's a weird thing to be into, but we do have a great channel partner here, Nads. So I'm picking up a good pack of these. Going to be getting probably 3 or 4 pairs. This is for a pack of 8. You can get 50% off on top of our just discount that we have in the description below. I believe the code is basement, but make sure on that. Yes, code basement. So, if you're into protecting your nads with organic cotton, go ahead and do so. I've always been, my wife runs a fashion company that's actually trying to be sustainable fashion. It is a pain in the ass to actually put your money where your mouth is.
Find organic, sustainable
and you have to
cotton
reproduce, the T-shirts that they just throw out. You can remanufacture that, but it is very labor intensive and it's expensive. So, if you want to actually put your money where your mouth is and seeing a better future, it costs a little bit of money. So If you are into that, protecting your diamond nuts with organic cotton, go ahead and click the link below. Here is a all-time high graph of the Argentinian peso compared to Bitcoin. Now, this is what happens. Great. We talk about price action all the time. It doesn't mean shit if you are not keeping inflation in check. And here we go. So this is the 69K top of 2020. I think it was 2021. And then the subsequent crash. Now the price of Bitcoin in Argentina has gone absolutely beyond parabolic. It's because their inflation is running rampant. I think that Javier Milei has, okay, let's talk about Javier.
Yeah. Yep.
So, great. All right. First initial thoughts. He came out of the gates with a chainsaw and a wild haircut. And he was planning on, dismantling a bunch of bloated government organizations internally within Argentina. I'm a fan of that. Now, you see inflation's gone absolutely parabolic. Many people are blaming Javier Milei for taking aim at their internal Federal Reserve. Do you think he's actually going to get that country back on track and get this situation under control with like just chaotic libertarian movements? Is he going to have to be more diplomatic about it? Like, do you have any hope that I'm kind of worried about Javier I think he might have bitten off more than he can chew, honestly.
One, I don't think he's a libertarian. I know people like to say that. I don't think he's a libertarian. I think he's just a basic right-wing conservative.
Okay. Okay.
I know libertarians think he's cool because he's money, big bank, but he seems pretty normal. He's definitely. I also saw someone call him an anarchist, and I was like, "Are you insane?"
Yeah, I don't
like
think
he
that.
ran to be president of a country,
Right.
anarchist. So I think the problem is anytime there's austerity measures, it takes a long time to see the reward of that.
It does.
So
yes.
What he got elected for is there's a problem. He's going to have to make some reforms, which will cause pain. The pain will be blamed on him unless he can politically maneuver to blame it on somebody else.
Right.
And further his agenda.
Right.
And then it just matters what the next election will look like.
Right.
Because I think they're 4 years. But we've already been through this before because I think it was before him. The people before him were controlled by the Kushners, which were like an infamous Argentinian faction.
Yeah.
And before that, they had Macri, right, who was kind of Milei-esque. He was much more corporate, but was the same thing, like, let's get this country back on track, be pro-business. And he lost out because he had to make a lot of reforms and revisions for that 4-year period he was there, which could have done well over time.
Yeah.
But because the pain was significant, people still threw him out.
Yeah.
So it's tough when you want to be the good guy. You have to be the good guy strategically. And if he's able to channel their anger and blame shift and maybe use it to or I shouldn't say blame shift because it's not necessarily his fault, but if he's able to say, actually, this isn't me in my election, which is what his opponents are going to do, and he can point it at something like their Federal Reserve,
right?
Maybe he can seize the opportunity and get more political momentum too, maybe.
Yeah.
Trounce it.
Because I wanted to simplify it as a hillbilly. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, right? And there's a lot of pain with dismantling these gargantuan institutions that have caused problem. And you're dead right. It takes time. Once you implement those measures, it really takes time to see the effects, hit the regular person that's at the polls.
And you make a lot of enemies doing it.
Yes, you do.
You make a lot of enemies doing it because all those people are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to start doing now? They're going to be advocating for you to be out of office.
Yep. And he really flipped the bird to the WEF. Did you see that Davos interview?
But he's pro US dollar, right? Isn't that what he said? So, which is unique. That's why people are so funny. They're like, this guy's some libertarian anarchist. He's a realist. I mean, the problem is people think, because you're some freedom guy, you adopt my ideology. Like, his job is to see Argentina grow. And he wants Argentina to do whatever it takes to be successful economy for his people. For them, that might be being closer to the US dollar than having their own peso.
Yeah. And I think it's the right choice to be closer to the US dollar rather than BRICS.
Yeah.
Turning down the BRICS invitation. And at large, like, we were talking about BRICS before we went live, and you have a pretty based viewpoint of BRICS. It's like it's a chihuahua that's scratching at the door. It's not really a immediate threat, I wouldn't say.
It's signaling. To me, it's all just signaling.
It's signaling. It's barking at the door.
Signaling to a threat.
Signaling to a threat, trying to create the narrative. And really, like, the thing that I couldn't get over when I learned it is that Goldman Sachs was the first entity to introduce the idea of BRICS.
So what does that tell
What the
you?
hell is that?
Like,
You know what I mean?
It tells you that it's more nuanced and that the BRICS countries that are organizing, it's just some way to be like, oh, well, let's look at alternative finance. But can Goldman Sachs back our alternative financial markets?
Exactly.
Like, okay, so maybe we're not too concerned about what BRICS is doing.
Right.
Okay, well, I like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and another thing is that the idea of BRICS is all based around GDPs and world trade shifting over to China in a overbearing way. And I don't think that's going to happen. But it was also, drafted within a month of 3 world trade centers falling in the same city where those trade centers fell.
Wait, BRICS was?
Yes, it was.
Or the draft for the BRICS?
The idea of BRICS coming from Goldman Sachs, it was 1 month after September 11th.
No way.
Yes, it was.
That's very interesting.
Yes, it was. So it's like...
So how's that logic add up? Why do you think those two events coinciding make sense?
I've thought about it for a few years, and it just feels like controlled opposition. The more I really try to boil it down, it just feels like they have to have this scary enemy to have something to go after, to defend American dominance and democracy.
The BRICS?
And the BRICS movement. And like bringing it up and talking about it as such a tangible threat to the U.S.,
but the U.S. doesn't really ever talk about it. Like people who are doomer Americans,
that's true,
who are anti-dollar are the ones talking about it.
But over the past few months, it has hit mainstream headlines more so than I ever expected.
Because they're trying to bring in Saudi Arabia and the oil-producing countries and do transactions off the dollar and oil. And
it's a little bit of fear porn.
Is trying to bring in Saudi Arabia.
They just
Iran,
signed.
and
they are officially a part of it now.
Yes.
So that's what I had seen is like after 9/11, there was this narrative like, USA against where the terrorists came from, and now it's like
it kind of has the same
full
vibes,
circle,
doesn't
like,
it?
to where we're at now.
It does,
and that's what's concerning.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I'm keeping an eye on it. It's not as dangerous of a situation as they make it out to be. I completely agree with Sam on that. Now, here's some quick upgrades to our favorite altcoins. Ethereum gas fees are very high right now, surged to an 8-month high as ERC 404 tokens taking off. I'll just read a little bit into this, not too much into the weeds, but gas prices are at a peak of 70 GUI, equivalent to $60 for a standard transaction. Peak gas costs even reached as high as 377 GUI, a level not seen since May 12th of 2023. ERC 404 aims to link ERC 721 non-fungible tokens with ERC 20, enabling creation of a fractionalized NFT, allowing multiple users to collectively own a single NFT and utilize their share for trading or collateralizing loans. Not a fan of collateralizing loans. I know that it's healthy to see in the crypto. Oh, God. We have a super chat here. Roosevelt Taylor. Let's see here. What was the super chat Roosevelt Taylor brought up earlier?
I think it was we needed an update on DAG and Cody.
And Cody. So haven't dug hardcore into Cody as of yet. I am still holding DAG. Honestly, DAG really kind of asleep. It's only, let's see here. On the year, you're basically where you got into, went down to, 2 cents, 2.8 cents at the lows. Yeah, it's doubled or a little bit more from that realm, but thinking about DAG, I think that this is something that a lot of people are going to miss. This is a project that's in a test phase with the Department of Defense, the Navy, and Air Force for data encryption. And it's Project Iron Spider. If you want to look it up for yourself, it's IRN. I think it's IRON and then SPDR, Iron Spider. And the testing program is still in place. It's basically data encryption for primarily what came to my mind is how F-35s have to conversate with drones in live time. And I think that this project does stand a potential of being chosen as one of those data encryption services for the U.S. Army and Navy. It is still in process. It is not completely solidified. They don't have the golden seal of approval yet, but they are still in that project right now. So I'm still bullish, still holding DAG. But, at large, I don't want to add a ton more to this thing until I really see the markets light up again. And, for this, this is a situation where I do think that DAG's going to take off really well, but we're well ahead of time. Like we've been talking about it in the accumulation zones every time it went down into this red realm right here within the 3 cent mark or under. That's where I get super bullish on talking about DAG. But, as it sits right now, it's about double or, almost a little bit more than doubled from those entry points. Maybe it's not like this is a high risk, high reward situation. It is a $73 million market cap. It's not a huge project by any stretch of the imagination. And the circulating supply is still only 34% out. So this is a high risk, high reward, but I'm about it. I think that data encryption and security is going to be one of the first and foremost things that we're thinking about as we build out these electronic systems. Cody, I need to do a deeper dig on Cody before I can speak on that one. I've seen a lot of people bring it up.
Check the chart.
Yeah, let's check the chart, mate. May as well check the chart, see what's going on with it.
I know DZ told me to buy some a year ago. So
a year ago? Well,
and I did.
You really fucked
I think
up.
I'm down.
Oh, actually, yeah. You're pretty much right where it is. So if you bought exactly a year ago, it's literally right where it is right now. So nice. All-time graph, let's see, it's still actually a pretty good opportunity zone for this token. $133 million market cap, 75% of the circulating supply is out. Not bad. This requires further investigation. I want to find out because I don't see a huge community behind this, but the graph doesn't spark anger out of me. Really, it's gone down to 3 cents, 3.7 cents, up to 8.8. Haven't missed out too much. This is what number is this? I wonder what number it is on overall markets. Let's see here. God, I don't want to scroll all the way down. Let's see, because I'm starting to think, oh yeah, number 317. That's a deeper pick because the next ones that I want to stack, I want to make sure are beyond, like not within the top 100. I want to start picking the ones that are a little bit deeper into the weeds for, better upside potential. Not going to be cutting up any Chainlink, for this thing, but, might be worth a little DCA action for me. Out on Cody, they left my Maxi ADA camp. Okay. C90 FTW, got some hard feelings about him. Yeah, I guess DZ's, that's where I've been hearing it. DZ's added it to his 10K portfolio.
Oh,
that's
recently?
where, yeah. Okay.
Wow.
That makes sense. Coinbase app down for anyone else. Aaron's saying Coinbase app down. That's not good. That better not happen right now. Bad timing, Coinbase. Don't you do it. All right. So Internet Computer Protocol announcing a new service to help streamline dApps. Basically, it's just announced a beta release of the EVM RPC canister on its platform. A solution aims to streamline the development of decentralized apps by facilitating integration between ICP canistered smart contracts and Ethereum smart contracts. Pretty cool to see. A beta phase commerce commences. The network encourages developers to test the service and actively provide feedback for further improvements. This is not, I don't think this is ICP, trying to take the cake from Ethereum as far as smart contracts. I think Ethereum will remain the king of smart contracts, but it is nice to see a little bit more interoperability coming out from the developments of the Dfinity, foundation. A lot of concerns come about ICP being centralized, all that stuff. Really, I'm just bullish on building on Bitcoin at large. And it's the same thing that I say with Stacks. We did a Stacks deep dive this weekend. Make sure if you're into, layer twos for Bitcoin, we are doing a deep dive on Stacks in a video that we released on Saturday. So make sure to go and check that out. But it's just nice to see a little bit more development coming from ICP. This Cardano adding over 5,000 smart contracts so far in February. Just some good metrics. Cardano adding a lot of smart contracts in a short amount of time on Plutus V1 scripts and Plutus V2 scripts. So, I don't hate this. I think that Cardano is what I should hammer into at large with my XRP bags. Been a little bit more feisty. They're both right at 50 cents right now, but I am also lit up by, we talked to Charles Hoskinson last week, and he's so based. It makes me just so bullish on Cardano every time I hear Hoskinson speak. But the chain and the price action is boring, right? Like in comparison, are you bullish on Cardano long term? Should I send all of my XRP into Cardano? Am I crazy for this? Is this just me feeling good feelings about someone?
All I'll say is Charles Hoskinson has actually donated to different campaigns that I've been pushing back last election cycle, so he's politically active, and I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. I shared a clip from his conversation on Discover on the Instagram. I'd made some shorts this morning, but he went straight for the throat. He was talking Wuhan, he's talking CIA and Kennedy, all this stuff. You know what I mean? He's very outspoken. So I think he's pretty lit up, and he likes one of my favorite bands. He went to visit The Who. Jeremy knows The Who.
Yeah.
The Who, it's the, and then W-U. Mongolian
like
heavy metal.
HU.
Okay.
HU. No, it's not the Woo.
The Who.
The Who.
Yeah.
HU.
This is the band. It's
I know they're
super good.
famous.
Hold
I
on.
know they're.
Let's go there. We got JayZ.
What's the rock band song that they do?
They did a Metallica cover, Sad But True. That was just thick.
That Who. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
These
I thought you
guys-
meant the Who.
The Who.
No,
Like
these
the
guys.
70s.
That's
Who.
why he spelled it for you.
Hoskinson.
HU.
You got it. He was like
Hoskinson
HU.
went and hung out with these guys and flew Falcons with them out in Mongolia. Okay,
Wait. So you listen to these guys?
dude, I love them
Yeah.
every day.
Here's the real question: do you work out to this music?
I absolutely do.
Are you allowed to show me your favorite song?
Yes, let's go here. So my favorite song from The Who is Sad But True. The remake Sad But True, oldie but goodie from Metallica that they remade. Absolute perfection for getting your blood pumping, early morning, late at night, whatever you need.
Is it the
Who.
guttural stuff?
It is.
They
have
incorporated a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like the vibrational type singing that they do, it is incredible.
And because you do that, you have more of an appreciation.
Oh,
You know the
absolutely.
talent.
Absolutely. I need to start a band out here. They want me to go do.
Why don't you go to Mongolia and
I should
bring
go to
some of them
Mongolia.
back and be like, guys, we're starting a
I'd
band.
be a little bit too close to China for my liking if that happened.
Mongolia's fine.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be
big-
beautiful.
It is beautiful, and there's a lot of land there. I could ride a horse.
Largest consumption of goats.
Largest consumption of goats.
Yes, in
Really?
Mongolia. Yeah, I was just looking at a report on different meats and consumption rates.
Okay.
They consume, I think, it's more goats than anybody else in the world.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
That is bullish.
It's bullish.
Is that bullish? What does that word mean?
Yeah, that's
Holy hell.
bullish.
Is
Argentina
that
is
bullish?
first for meat.
I would
First
say
for meat in
probably not.
Argentina?
Yeah,
Okay.
cows, yeah.
Okay. I like that. Absolutely bullish on Cardano, Charles Hoskinson. What a guy.
And Mongolian throat singing. Bullish on all of those.
Absolutely. Now, let's look at this. This was just a reminder. On June 4th, 1963, President John F. Kennedy issued Executive Order number 11110, directing the Treasury to produce $4 billion worth of $2 and $5 bills. The bills were supported by silver reserves stored in the Treasury vault and were issued without debt or interest. Wow, what a thing. Seigniorage or profit from the coinage went directly to the U.S. government rather than the privately owned Federal Reserve Bank, and the issuance of the note was part of Kennedy's broader strategy to diminish the influence of the U.S. Federal Reserve Act, along with the dismantling of named three-letter agencies like the CIA and the FBI, which he aimed to do, but was shortly after assassinated in November of 1963 in Dallas, Texas. And that's actually where the term conspiracy theorist came from.
Do we know why he didn't like the Fed?
Because it's a silent tax on the people. It was a silent diminishing
but do
of
we
your
know
purchasing
why
power.
he didn't like the Fed? I mean, that's the talking point of why we don't like the Fed. But
Yeah.
does he ever say? I haven't looked at this.
We
that's
should
why
pull
I'm
it
asking.
up. We should pull up his specific thoughts on the Federal Reserve
Because
because
I wonder if he ever talked about it.
we should look. I remember looking at it at one point, but it was kind of commingled with his aggravation with the FBI and the CIA. So it gets kind of like commingled in that conversation. But we should try to find if there's any specific dialogue about the Federal Reserve from his standpoint.
I wish they did that on those Twitter posts sometimes.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I'd love to be able to be like, this is what he said.
Yes.
And JFK was like, no, I hate the Fed.
Yeah, it's just, a quick reminder. We used to have nice things. We used to have money that was backed by something, no longer the case. And that's actually where the word conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist was stemmed from, the magic bullet theory. And hey, you're a conspiracy theorist because there's no magic bullets. There's only one magic bullet, right? And then the Surgeon General's autopsy report released during COVID proved there's 3 entry point and exit points. How fun is that? Nobody cared.
From his skull?
Not from his skull. There's actually one, I believe, in the collarbone as well.
Oh, shit.
Yep. So nobody cared because it was flu season and we were all trying to fight over toilet paper, but that's past now. So this is just a quick update on where FHLB ratings sit. which banks are in most trouble. This is from Swifty's Ducks. Some Q3 and Q2 data sorted by red flag categories to compare. Here we go. And this really, I just want to look at the top because those are the most at risk. Who do we got? Charles Schwab still sitting hot and heavy up there. Discover Bank and UBS Bank, who actually was forced to absorb Credit Suisse by demand of the Swiss government not too terribly long ago.
That was still crazy.
Now,
because that was like a super.
So insane.
You're not supposed to do that.
Absolutely. Right? That tells you things are broken.
Yeah.
That tells you things are intrinsically broken when you see things like that happen. But Charles Schwab sitting at 175% FHLB rating. That means it owes nearly twice what it is worth at the current levels, and largely due to commercial real estate holdings cratering in value. And obviously, commercial-backed mortgage securities. The most curious thing that I feel like is we're in crypto. We complain about Gary Gensler coming after us in the crypto realm, but then literally never having to address the fact that a ton of banks sit at risk of insolvency from mortgage-backed securities. Where's the protection from that, right? Why?
Not a priority.
Not a priority, I guess. Yeah. Just the literal place that houses all of our value and is supposed to be there to provide that. Here's
Literally,
Dark Brandon.
My accounting professor used to be like, bonds are the safest place to put your money, like preaching to all these college students, like AAA rated bonds.
What a scam.
This was last semester before they were AA. But and then he's like, if they want to sell a stock, if a business wants to sell a stock, they have to give their investors like certain documents, certain information so that the people know what they're buying. Yeah. And meanwhile, the banks were failing. Like that was literally right when the headlines were like, this bank just.
And then you saw the downgrade.
Yeah.
That
and
blew
so
your
kids
mind
in the
like
class
crazy.
were like, this is kind of ironic. Like
right.
that this is what you're saying, but this is what's happening right now. And he was just like, and I had like a Bitcoin sticker on the back of my laptop, and he's like, "Crypto bad. Crypto's bad." How dare you? Like I'm like,
and this is why you're a teacher and not in the market.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh, that's a shot fired right there. Ouch. That's shot fired.
To be fair, they've been saying since like I was in high school that the U.S. Treasury bonds were the safest possible investment.
They're so safe. Buy them.
They're still gonna say that till the world's done.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like nobody knows. Just I don't know. Kids in a intro accounting class at Kennesaw are not gonna know. Like there was like 3 people that were like,
that's sus.
Everybody else is just like, okay. Like it's crazy.
So do you guys think Biden's trolling us, or is he bullish on Bitcoin with the picture he put out yesterday?
Which picture?
His
It's
intern.
Dark Brandon has been reemerged. I saw him float this idea on a coffee cup.
Sure.
But then the post he put up, just like we drew it up, I think he's referencing the supposed psyop that is Taylor Swift.
Right. So Republicans were saying that there was a conspiracy for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl so that Taylor Swift could take to the stage and endorse Joe Biden.
Right.
Or take to the field, I guess. And that's obviously...
We didn't see that happen. I didn't see that happen.
That's obviously a somewhat ridiculous conspiracy, and so this was meant to poke fun of that. The problem is that the movement sort of geopolitically last night in Rafah and the Gaza Strip coincided with the Super Bowl, and so it makes it look like Joe Biden was referring to the bombing of Rafah and saying just like we drew it up. So internationally, this tweet did really poorly, but in the United States, we all knew it was about our football game.
Or it's about all of the above, and it was 100% on purpose.
When I see this picture, though, all I can imagine is digging a moat, buying a few crocodiles or alligators, and tripwires. That's all I feel when I see this picture. He's talking. He had an advertisement. I think it was a Twitter post or some commercial where he's talking about shrinkflation being the real problem here.
Right.
Talking blaming corporations,
just purely blaming corporations. I think, what are we at? Do we have the specific number? Aren't we at like 60 or 70% of all U.S. notes in circulation in history have been printed over the past? Because last I saw it was at least over 50%.
I saw. So what's funny is I know this exactly what you're talking about, but that's like 6 months to a year old now. And I think it was 90%.
90%?
Yeah.
Even worse.
Yeah, very high.
My God. So, while he's sitting there blaming corporations, he's just printing us off a cliff, it feels like.
Posting the video about ice cream.
Yeah. And then, I get taxed on the money that I make, first of all. Then I get taxed on the house that I live in for property taxes. Then I get taxed on tags and all these other things. I feel like literally when you boil it right down to it, my take home is at like 20% of what the government leaves alone that I'm able to keep for myself in their inflationary garbage. And it is very aggravating to see conversations of utilizing that tax revenue to send my son to World War III with his external border conflicts in the Ukraine. We got to keep protecting that border while you just leave our border wide open to rape. And now we're entering a situation where, you know, honestly, I'm going to have to keep moving further and further into the woods to feel comfortable leaving my family at home. So
I just hate the psyop around inflation because, one, we keep changing the way it's measured in the basket of goods.
yeah,
So like 2 or 3 years ago, they took out all the meats, they took out gas.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, look, it's low. And then they keep posting these graphs, which are like, oh, inflation's down.
yeah,
Not understanding that if inflation is 5% 1 month, 6% another month, and then 4% another month, that 4% is of the 6% of the 5%. Like that's building.
100%.
So it's
100%.
But people go, oh, it's only 4%. So they're assuming, oh, okay, inflation's under control. I'm like, no, that's like compound interest.
Right.
But they'll show the graph and be like, thank goodness inflation is down. I'm like, okay, 4% of inflation over a track of average 6% of inflation over a year
right.
isn't good.
They add up
that's
quick.
still bad.
100%.
It's a
about
total.
100%.
It's totally ridiculous.
I love that.
psyop. And speaking of this is kind of derailed a little bit, but me and my roommate were watching the news the other day, and they were talking about how employment rates are like
Sky
good.
high.
Oh, doing great.
Like
No.
they're like, it's great, it's so good. And me and my roommate are like, are you
We had a
are you
statistical
sure? Like, where
outflow.
is this data? Like, where are you getting this
It's part-time
information
workers.
from?
It's
Well, if you
part-time.
look, so employment data is just like inflation, where you can manipulate it to whatever
Yeah.
you want it to be. So even unemployment, to say you're unemployed, and they always change the definition, so watch me be wrong about this.
Right.
But it's like, okay, so if you're unemployed, that means you have been looking for work, but could not find work within a 3 to 6 month period. If it is after 6 months, you are no longer classified as unemployed. They take you out of the data set.
Right.
If you have a part-time job or are underemployed, they don't count you. So there's this whole, and the 2008 recession, we still feel effects from that because you had this whole layer of people now who are still underemployed.
Yep.
There was one stat, which this has gotten worse, where it was essentially like 30% of Americans support the rest of America because 30% aren't in the workforce at all. The other 30% are receiving money through either government taxes, like you're a government employed person, or Social Security government handout programs.
Yep.
The other 30%, which is what we're using to track unemployment. So when you're looking at unemployment, whatever that term means, you're actually talking about the 30% that's already supporting the market,
Right.
is the people who are actually working in the private sector.
Right. It's a very small amount. That's
So
actually.
it's all, so even when you're looking at that's why they can say, hey, we've created a lot of jobs. They said that also post the pandemic because
Yeah.
people got their jobs back. They claim those as new jobs
Right.
and new job creation. But you can manipulate the data, which, to be fair, like everybody does this. I get it, right? But it's just incredibly been heinous the past 3 years. And it's just ironic seeing those employment numbers go up when we just had all these high-tech layoffs.
Right.
Like, it was just insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you know,
they were like-
before this broke open, there was a concern that there's a high level of people that just cannot participate medically anymore in the workforce. They were actually basically just disabled. And, you know, part of that program, separate from our jobs numbers, like the amount of people that were taking rather than giving into our economy concerned me before COVID. Already before COVID. It may be
Yeah.
heartless, but it's our diets. It's the way we live, and the participation rate in the U.S. economy has consistently dwindled. Even before all this stuff broke out. Now people are working 2-3 jobs at a time to keep afloat. And when I see Dark Brandon smiling at me with his laser eyes, oh boy, some
My
special
God.
feelings come up in me. You know, some very, very special feelings. So, you know, I didn't catch the Super Bowl. I think it's a giant psyop distraction. Give them bread and circuses, and they will never revolt. That is my opinion of the sports ball game. I do not partake in it. I don't have television, so I do not watch it.
Whoa.
You know, just the way it is. I'm sorry,
It's
not
true.
sorry.
It's true.
I don't deal with it. You know,
Our
it's
strongest citizens
right.
are so distracted
I know exactly.
by beer.
I
and
do have an
football
appreciation
helmets.
for football, though, in the sense that, and so I also don't watch it. But I think we should encourage sports that promote the best. And I like the idea of us as a populace liking sports that show what humans can do. and the feat of human strength. I find nothing wrong with that. The problem is, like you're saying, at one point, does it become a distraction? At one point, does it actually become like, are these competitions real?
Yeah.
Right? How much can be planned with referees and stuff? It does make you draw a side eye. Obviously, to me, the Taylor Swift stuff is a marketing ploy, right? And her dating Travis, who's she dating? Is it Kelsey? Right?
Yeah, Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, her dating him, to me, is probably set up. Right? Like, all these people care, and she's going to make a bunch of money from it. Okay, maybe they truly love each other. I doubt it. But who cares, But it is an avenue for that. But it's a shame because you read how, like, football was founded and created in some of the stories, and it is, like, a heavily ingrained in American culture.
Yeah.
But now it does make you think, okay, where are our priorities?
Yeah, bro. Like, literally, like, I feel like when you whittle it down to it, we only get to keep 20% of our intake. The rest of it goes to 100 different degrees of taxation. And meanwhile, my neighbor and everybody around me is fixated on their big screen TV, watching some jackass they don't know score an arbitrary point on a game that they have nothing to do with.
It's just,
and they're part of that.
But you can't hate. But I agree with that. But one, most people are like that, and then two, you can't hate people for having a passion for something.
Things that they like, we love it. Sports bring people together. It's great. It's awesome.
No, they should be getting together.
It's all about balance, though.
It can be positive. It's just, when people use it for escapism.
Listen, guys.
I think Drew's point is
we can get together for something that means something. Look at this. Give me a close up.
Because on one hand, we have let people like things.
What's that mean, though? The three?
The chat, no. The chat, no. You can look it up.
The three pillars?
No, 3%.
3%. Oh, like 3% man or something?
3% terse.
3% what?
Terse. 3%ers. It means he's a big Steph Curry fan.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So what's that mean? Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say it because I already get demonetized enough. I'm just saying.
Really, it's controversial.
It's very, very controversial. It's actually the reason why I got into crypto is seeing the lengths that the government will take to stifle encrypted communication between free American citizens. You see. Now you see. Now you see.
No.
Yes.
We got a live look-in as a guest learns that Drew is crazy.
I am not crazy. It's literally our constitutional right. So I am sitting here holding on to those rights until my dying breath. So,
I thought he just liked the number 3.
Yeah.
I was like, typical.
JF Space Native knows.
Wait, so Steve, I thought Steve Curry's a football player.
Steve Curry? No, that guy's probably basketball or something.
Curry's a basketball player.
That's right. So what's that have to do with?
He had 3-pointers.
The big three-pointer.
Oh,
I didn't even know that.
Ties together. Wow.
I didn't even know that.
It has nothing to do with
cool.
Steph Curry.
Listen, I was trying to save your career by not bringing the subject up and just showing my shirt. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
You came down to the basement.
I'm too nosy.
Welcome to the basement where, obviously nothing is beneath us here in the basement and everything goes over our heads. So absolutely wonderful seeing all these new names in the chat. Hannah is special indeed. Circle Jerks. Bob from accounting, Technique Teak, Just Jim. We got JF, Space Native, Flat Smack, Ellie Framsworth, Colemanist Tater, Gold Dogs, bunch of new names, Sin Diesel, Mike Bennett, all the wonderful people out there. I very much appreciate you. Veteran Crypto, yes, we are going to be getting in contact soon. It's been an absolutely insane beginning of the week, but I want to follow up with you very much. So good, sir. So with that said, I think we're going to have to go set up ATB. Hannah, are we still having an ATB show?
ATB, 4 p.m.
All right. Owen's running the board. We're going to go. You had a hard stop at 3 and I kept you over.
You did. That's fine.
That's my bad. Jeremy,
I learned something new.
Started having fun.
You didn't make me, upset at all. I really enjoy having you on this show.
Of course, we're friends. I'm sorry to break it to you. We get along. We have a great time.
It's really hard to accept, but we are becoming friends.
That's because of your preconceived notions about people like me.
Here's the deal.
Okay,
I got an open heart. You're pretty quiet.
Yeah, Owen's the quietest though. I need to get my Joe Blaster down here to fix that. But until next time, we will be coming back to you live 2 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. And I bid you adieu. Goodbye.